Then on Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 1 matchup between the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Pitt Panthers. Two teams have got potential to be great teams in the 2022 season. We got West Virginia coming off of a 6-7 2021 season. Wasn't a bad year for West Virginia, but this is a team that's definitely got a much higher ceiling going into 2022 here. JT Daniels is the quarterback for this team, the former USC and Georgia quarterback who really hasn't reached his full potential yet. And of course, the return production hasn't been bad for the Mountaineers either. So potentially this team is a dark horse contender in the Big 12 this season. And they're facing off against Pitt, of course, a team that was great last season to say the least. They won the ACC, got up to 11 wins, and even a New Year's Six game. And Pitt looks to be once again one of the top teams in the ACC in this upcoming season. So that said, we'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Games will be on Thursday, September 1st in Pittsburgh. So the Panthers, the home team for this matchup. And pretty much opening night of the college football season here, 7 p.m. Eastern is the kickoff for this matchup. Spread's going Pitt here by 7, so the Panthers are favored by a touchdown in this matchup. Not too surprising. Obviously, I mean, if you look at both teams last season, I mean, Pitt was obviously the better team. They got up to 11 wins, New Year's Six, won the ACC, and West Virginia got up to 6. But, I mean, if you look at 2022 here, I feel like these two teams are a bit closer. I mean, West Virginia bringing in a couple of key players, and of course, the return of production not terrible for this team. But if you look at Pitt on the flip side, losing Kenny Pickett, losing a few of their key players, it does bring the teams a bit closer as we head into 2022. Over-under is 51.5, and your FPI is going Pitt here 78%. So Pitt is, you could say, heavily favored in the FPI at 78%. Series history, Pitt leads at 61-40. Your win streak is West Virginia by 3, and the last game was in 2011. So it's been a little while since we last saw these two teams play each other, but they've got a long history, obviously playing 101 total games. Your stat comparison for this matchup, these are your standings in stats of last season out of 130 FBS teams, all 130 of them. So West Virginia 88th in points a game, 45th in points allowed, 56th in pass yards a game, 103rd in rush yards a game. So rushing yards, West Virginia, that wasn't much of a strength last year. And then for yards allowed, 40th in passing, not too bad, and 43rd in rush yards allowed. So defensively, this West Virginia team was stronger than their offense last year, if you want to compare the two. And it's kind of the opposite for Pitt. Pitt's a team that was very strong on offense last season, 3rd in points a game, 42nd in points allowed, and of course pass yards a game, 8th. So they're in the top 10 there, the top 8. And of course, when you got Kenny Pickett, who really broke through in the 2021 season. I mean, that was kind of unexpected, I think, and it kind of came out of left field because Kenny Pickett had already played a decent amount with Pitt, and it didn't look like he was, I mean, there's a certain point when you play a certain amount of years, like you can kind of tell, like a player is a bit more predictable, you can kind of tell how they're going to be, but Kenny Pickett defied that, and he turned out to be a great quarterback last season. For Pitt, 42nd in points allowed, 77th in rush yards a game, and then for yards allowed, 115th in pass yards allowed. So you could say the defensive secondary and the passing defense for Pitt was a bit weak last season, and they're 6th in rush yards allowed. So, and 6th is obviously very good. They had one of the best rush defenses statistically in the country. So something to keep an eye on there for both teams. Obviously, it's a whole different year. It's a whole new year. But West Virginia being a team that is a bit better in passing, going up against a somewhat vulnerable Pitt pass defense that could be to their advantage in this matchup. Some key points for this one: West Virginia 6-7 last year, landed the former USC and Georgia quarterback JT Daniels. Obviously, that's the main storyline for West Virginia, and JT Daniels is a quarterback that has shown tremendous potential over the course of his career. I mean, at USC, when it looked like he was going to be his time, turned out to not be so good. And, I mean, he's dealt with injuries on and off as well. He is an injury-prone quarterback. So if he can stay healthy, I mean, he's a guy that really I could see having a great season. Of course, he eventually transferred to Georgia, played a little bit there. Of course, Stetson Bennett kind of won over the starting position in the end. But, now this is his 3rd opportunity and pretty much his last. If he wants to break through as a quarterback. Ceiling appears to be higher for the Mountaineers, no doubt, going into 2022. And defensively, they were strong last season. and that defense is going to need to come to play in the 2022 season and in this matchup here if they want to be a good team. For Pitt, 11-3, no longer have quarterback Kenny Pickett, but they got Keaton Slovis coming in, the former USC quarterback who played a bit as well, also a quarterback that has shown potential over the course of his career but hasn't fully reached it. So kind of an interesting quarterback match here between two quarterbacks who are just trying to really show their full potential, and two quarterbacks that have really shown tremendous upside in the past but haven't really reached it yet. Despite a few big losses for Pitt, this team has lost. And obviously when you come out and have an 11-win year and you win the ACC when you're definitely not favored to, you lose a few of your key players. But, this Pitt team is still strong going into 2022. I do expect this team to be one of the top teams in the ACC as we head into 2022. But that said, let's get to the prediction here for West Virginia and Pitt. Pretty big matchup coming up here in week 1. I'm going to go Pitt here. 27-23 is my predicted final score. I just feel like Pitt in this situation, more confident picking the Panthers, but I do think West Virginia covers the spread and makes it a competitive game. I do think it's a close one. Both teams, I don't expect it to be a very clean game. I think there's going to be multiple errors here. Both teams kind of a sloppy matchup just because, you got two new quarterbacks who've got experience in college football, but not with their teams. Plus, there have been a couple significant changes for both these teams. West Virginia's lost a few key players to the transfer portal too. You can't forget about that. But Pitt, 27-23, I do think the Panthers win this one. I'm going to say 55% versus, of course, the FPI, which is saying nearly 80% towards Pitt. I'm not quite that confident. I think West Virginia puts up a fight in this match. It'll be close. And once again, wouldn't be surprised one bit if we saw West Virginia win this matchup on Thursday night. Over-under is 51.5. I do want to take the under for this matchup, and I'm pretty confident in that. And West Virginia to cover the spread in the end. But yes, 27-23 is my predicted final score. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup. And I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.